What's going on, everybody? Danny Koker here, aka The Count. Where were we this time last year? And we'd look back and we were like, wow, we've come miles and miles.
For over a decade, Danny the Count Koker from Counting Cars was the undisputed king of cool. With his signature bandana and dark sunglasses, he sold the image of an untouchable rock star. But that image was a lie. Those sunglasses weren't style. They were shields hiding a man who was physically crumbling. While the cameras rolled, he was facing a catastrophic financial betrayal and a body destroyed by years of grueling labor. But his disappearance isn't a mystery. It's a total system failure. The Count persona was an engine running on redline for decades. He ignored the warning lights to build his empire, but now he's facing a breakdown that no amount of money can fix. The burden of the bloodline and the reality TV trap. To understand why Danny Koker pushes himself to the breaking point, we have to go back to the beginning. Because Danny wasn't just born a mechanic, rather, he was born a soldier in a war to honor a ghost. His father, Danny Koker Sr., was a musical legend and a towering figure who worked with icons like Johnny Cash and the Cathedrals. For young Danny, his father wasn't just a parent, but a godlike figure who taught him everything about music, cars, and the relentless work ethic required to survive in the entertainment industry. But in 2008, the unthinkable happened when his father passed away, leaving a void that Danny has been trying to fill with metal and gasoline ever since. Most sons grieve and move on, but Danny turned his grief into a business plan because he made a silent vow to keep the Koker name in lights no matter the cost to himself. He didn't just want to build cars, he wanted to build a monument to the man who made him. This promise became a heavy chain that he would drag for the rest of his life, driving him to work 18-hour days and sacrifice his own health to keep the empire growing. He expanded from a custom shop to a bar, a tattoo parlor, and a band, desperately trying to live two lives at once. He was the mechanic his father raised, and the rock star his father was. But the human being named Danny was slowly being crushed between them. The Count persona was born not out of vanity, but out of a desperate need to be strong enough to carry the legacy. And the sunglasses went on to hide the tears that a tough guy isn't allowed to cry. The rise of Counting Cars in 2012 was supposed to be the crowning achievement of this legacy, but it quickly turned into a curse because fame is a hungry beast that demands to be fed constantly. Danny was already a successful businessman in Vegas, but the show turned him into a global caricature. Suddenly, he couldn't just be a guy fixing a radiator, but had to be the Count 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The pressure of the network was suffocating because reality TV requires drama, tight deadlines, and constant energy. But restoration work requires patience, silence, and time. These two worlds collided violently in the shop as Danny was forced to film scenes over and over again, while real customer cars sat waiting and the stress began to manifest in his body. He was living in a pressure cooker where every mistake was filmed and every argument was edited for maximum conflict. The fans saw the cool cars and the funny banter, but they didn't see the nights where Danny sat in his office wondering if he had sold his soul for a cable TV contract. He was trapped by his own brand because if he took off the bandana or the glasses, he stopped being the product that the network was paying for. He became a prisoner of his own image, forced to play a character that was becoming harder and harder to maintain as he aged. The financial betrayal and the physical toll. While Danny was busy being the face of the company on television and managing the stress of fame, a predator was lurking in his accounting department named Joseph Frontiera, who was supposed to be managing the finances but was instead allegedly siphoning funds to pay for his own luxury lifestyle. This is the dark heart of the story that broke Danny's spirit more than any failed engine ever could. In a shocking lawsuit, Count's Kustoms revealed that Frontiera had allegedly embezzled over $75,000 from the company. But it wasn't just the amount that was shocking, it was the brazen nature of the theft. Frontiera reportedly used the company's money to make a down payment on a personal Land Rover Range Rover and to buy airline tickets for his own vacations. He treated Danny's hard-earned money like his own personal piggy bank, while Danny was sweating in the shop trying to keep the lights on. But the betrayal went deeper than just spending cash. because the lawsuit claimed that Frontiera had failed to pay the company's taxes on time, triggering an IRS penalty of around $18,000. He was driving the company into a ditch while driving himself around in a brand new luxury SUV. And how did he get away with it? The allegations were chilling, because the lawsuit claimed Frontiera had actually created stamps of Danny Koker's signature, and the signature of Kevin Mack, to stamp checks and authorize payments without anyone knowing. He was operating as a ghost CEO behind their backs. This was the ultimate violation, because Danny had built his entire identity on trust and brotherhood, treating his crew like family and inviting them into his world, only for Frontiera to look him in the eye and steal the food off his table. But Danny didn't just take the hit lying down, as he also went after the staffing agency Randstad, which had recommended Frontiera in the first place. He sued Randstad, alleging that they failed to do a proper background check, which would have revealed that Frontiera had a history of embezzlement charges in Florida. It was a moment that revealed the corporate negligence surrounding his empire, proving that while he was building cars, the people he paid to protect him were asleep at the wheel. The lawsuit dragged on and exposed the vulnerability of the empire, proving that while Danny was a genius with cars, he had been blind to the snakes in his own grass. It left him paranoid and angry, eroding the carefree spirit that made him famous. The stress of the lawsuit combined with the grueling production schedule began to take a visible toll on Danny's physical health. Fans began to notice drastic changes in his appearance. In some seasons he looked bloated and inflamed, while in others he looked shockingly thin and gaunt. The internet, being the cruel place that it is, immediately began to speculate. Rumors swirled that he was sick or battling a secret illness, and some even whispered the word cancer. While Danny has never confirmed a specific diagnosis, the physical evidence of his struggle is undeniable. At 61 years old, years of bending over engines, inhaling fumes, and standing on concrete floors have ravaged his body. He walks with a stiffness that speaks of chronic pain. His weight fluctuations are a classic sign of extreme stress and a cortisol system that is completely out of whack. The sunglasses hide eyes that are likely tired and sunken from decades of sleep deprivation. He isn't just aging, he is deteriorating under the demands of a lifestyle that would kill a man half his age. He has been seen wearing knee braces and back supports, the hidden medical devices that keep the Count standing upright for the cameras. It is a painful reminder that the human body has a warranty expiration date, and Danny Koker passed his a long time ago. He is fighting a war against his own biology to keep the show on the road, but it is a battle he is slowly losing. The silent grief and the crumbling of the inner circle. Beyond the physical pain and the financial betrayal, there is a deep well of emotional grief that Danny carries with him every day. He has lost not only his father, but many members of his inner circle over the years. The departure of key crew members like Scott Jones and Rolly Sabo weren't just business transactions, they were fractures in his family unit. Danny is a man who values loyalty above all else, so every time someone leaves or betrays him, it chips away at his soul. He has become increasingly isolated, surrounded by employees, but perhaps feeling more alone than ever. The cool persona prevents him from grieving publicly because the Count doesn't cry and the Count doesn't complain. He has to bottle up the loss and the sadness, pushing it down deep where it manifests as stress and physical illness. He is the captain of the ship, and he has to go down with it, even if he is the only one left on the deck. The isolation of leadership is a heavy burden, and for a man who wears his heart on his sleeve, the inability to show weakness is a prison cell made of pride. The empire of counting cars was built on the chemistry of the crew, but over the years that foundation has crumbled, leaving Danny standing in the rubble. We watched as Scott Jones, the manager who tried to keep Danny's spending in check, vanished from the show. Then, Rolly Sabo, the detailer with the infectious laugh, disappeared after his equipment was stolen in a suspicious incident. These weren't just cast changes, they were the erosion of Danny's support system. He was losing the people who knew him before he was a TV star. He was left with a crew that was increasingly made up of employees rather than brothers. The camaraderie that made the show special was replaced by a professional distance. The most poignant example of this is his relationship with Kevin Mack, his best friend and right-hand man. While Kevin is still there, the dynamic has undeniably shifted under the weight of the lawsuits and the pressure. They are two survivors on a life raft, watching the ocean of the industry try to swallow them whole. This crumbling of the inner circle forced Danny to take on even more responsibility. He couldn't delegate because he didn't trust anyone anymore. After the Frontiera embezzlement, who could blame him? He became a micromanager out of necessity, checking every invoice and overseeing every bolt, which only added to his exhaustion. He was the king of the castle, but the castle was empty. The sanctuary of sound and the golden handcuffs. In a desperate attempt to find an outlet for the stress and the grief, Danny turned back to his first love, which is music. He formed the band Count 77, a hard rock outfit that allows him to trade his wrench for a microphone. For Danny, the band isn't just a vanity project. It is a form of primal scream therapy. When he is on stage, he isn't the boss who has to worry about payroll or lawsuits. He is just a singer channeling the spirit of the 70s rock gods he worships. It is the only place where he can take off the sunglasses and close his eyes and just feel. But even this sanctuary has become part of the business machine. The band tours to promote the shop, and the shop sells the band's merchandise. He has commodified his own escape. He cannot just play music in a garage. He has to turn it into another revenue stream to feed the beast. While the music brings him joy, it also adds another layer of physical exhaustion to his life. Touring is a young man's game, and sleeping on a bus and performing late nights is brutal on a 61-year-old body that is already breaking down. He is running from the stress of the shop into the stress of the road, caught in a cycle of constant motion because he is terrified of what might happen if he ever stops moving. Now at 61, Danny Koker stands at a crossroads. The show has stopped filming new episodes, but the machine must keep running. He has built a massive infrastructure that requires constant cash flow. The bar, the tattoo shop, the museum, and the garage all have overheads that don't stop just because the cameras do. He is wearing golden handcuffs. He has made millions, but he is trapped by the very wealth he created. He cannot retire because the brand is him. If Danny Koker walks away, Count's Kustoms is just another garage in Vegas. He has to keep showing up, shaking hands, and signing autographs to keep the value of the brand high. He has pivoted to merchandise and tours, selling the idea of the Count rather than just the cars. It is a smart business move, but it feels like a hollow victory. He is no longer a builder, he is a mascot. He is the Mickey Mouse of the hot rod world, waving at tourists while his knees ache and his heart longs for the quiet days in the garage with his dad. The tragic victory. So, what really happened to Danny Koker at 61? He won the world, but he lost his freedom. He achieved the dream he promised his father, but he paid for it with his health, his trust, and his peace. The sunglasses and the bandana are no longer just a costume. They are the only thing holding the pieces together. They protect the fragile man underneath from the glare of a world that wants to consume him. He is a survivor, yes, but he is a survivor who bears the deep scars of his battles. The tragedy of Danny Koker isn't that he failed, it's that he succeeded too well. He built a legend that became bigger than the man, and now the man is struggling to survive inside the legend. What do you think about the price Danny has paid for his empire? Do you think he should retire and focus on his health, or does he owe it to his fans to keep the show going? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want more deep dives into the dark side of reality TV fame, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.